Welcome back, my super soul sisters, and today we're going to talk about soul groups and our soul group shoes. Now, this is all about your supportive tribe. What's your tribe? Who's your tribe? Who do you rely on to get you through? So we were talking about no shoes, putting your no shoes on, going, nah, not doing that. Nah, I'm not having it anymore. Maybe it's a toxic relationship and I'm done. I am no longer going to do that. If someone keeps demanding more than what you really want to be giving, how do you say no? You put your no shoes on and you say no and you mean it and you stick to it. But sometimes you need help. Okay, sometimes it's easier said than done. I've had people say to me, well, Vicki, it's all good and whatever, but you've so played the game of someone making these demands and you caving in. And look, I've had this even with kids doing this to their parents, and it's like they don't like it. It's like, holy, this is not the agreement. So when you say no, it's like, how do I stay true to my path? And it's not just in saying no, it's also getting empowered into to wear your own shoes on your own path, your own way, and having a group of supportive ladies and gents and whoever else helping you to get there. So this is what the Super Soul Sisters, group in my Facebook thing is all about. It's connecting us. It's getting us talking. It's quite often refreshing because there's a whole bunch of people that you've hung with for so long that really are not serving you. And sometimes, dare I say it, they're family members, like you can pick your friends, right? But you can't pick your family members, if they're blood, they're blood. And, there are teachers in our lives. They are there for us so that we can learn our lessons. So don't be mistaken. They're in your life for a reason. And oddly enough, I know not a lot of people will buy into this, but, you do choose who you're going to come in as and who you're going to have your journeys with long before you even got here. And there's a reason that they're in your life, and it's for you to learn a lesson. And if you're not going to learn that lesson, this is how I see it, if you don't learn that lesson, well, just someone else is going to come in with the lesson on a bigger level, or you're going to have to come back in another lifetime and just have to do the whole damn thing again. So my thing is, why not just get it over and done with now? So here's my thing, is like, sometimes you need a bit of a support crowd to kind of go, you know what, I'm actually struggling, and you know what, it's okay to struggle. And this is where I really want to blow this whole thing out of the water of, social media. Everything's perfect. Like, my eyelashes are done, and, look, I keep going on about eyelashes and nails, and please don't, if you do that, don't worry. It's, I'm not having a go at you. This is, it's more about like when you overdo it, when you've got those long talons and the long things, and it's the, really long hair, extensions, and, having to physically change your body in order, that tells me that if you're going to the extreme, like anything, contained, where it's not over the top. I think that's what it is. It's the OTT side of it. It's like where you're overcompensating, then you know that there has to be something else that's going on there, because, otherwise you just wouldn't be doing it. Do you know what I mean? I remember, God, what was it, Lizard Man or something? I remember where they were implanting things, so that he actually looked like a chameleon, like a lizard. I remember seeing some photo of it, and honestly, even had a implanted tail done. And do you know what I mean? Like, okay, that is seriously extreme. Okay, but there's obviously something going on there, right? You do not have to be Einstein. So for me, it's like, being aware of, there's so much emphasis on superficial. I think that's what I want to move away from. I want us ladies to get real. It's like, what's really going on? Who's the real person? That's who I want to engage with. Like, let's get back to the real. And I'm going to talk about that at some stage as well. but it's that whole moving away from that superficiality, that floating around up here kind of stuff. I've kind of moved away from all of that, and I think that the reason that you're here and you're even watching this indicates that you are as well. You're getting to that point where it's just like, look good, pretend that it's all dandy and everything's groovy, and actually it's not. And so, you kind of want to know what's really sort of going on. And when you want to shift out of that zone, if you've been playing that game for so long, you kind of go, well, I don't really know how to do that. It's learning all this stuff, which I'm giving to you for free, quite literally. There are learned emotional, resilience techniques that I help you, that you can buy, and that's your emotional resilience toolkit. And then of course there'll be my book when I finally get it published, that will also be beneficial, that you can go back into, and you can do exercises, and you can do all these things that are going to shift the bar for you, that are going to move you in the right direction, the direction you actually want to go in, not down a different road, wearing shoes you don't want. I really want to empower you. I want you in your own shoes, your own path, your own way, as you know. But sometimes, even if you're in your own shoes, if you're going it alone, it's a bit of a journey. So sometimes you kind of need that support group around you, which is what this my Facebook group is all about. I am going to be pulling stuff over into Kajabi and probably Circle at some stage, just because it makes it easier to find stuff. Like I'm finding with Facebook, if people are wanting to find things, because everything moves down, and it's just, you can't really categorize stuff. You can't put things in certain areas. So, eventually it'll probably, migrate into something hopefully bigger, where we've got a bigger community where, if you want to find stuff, you can go back to these videos and it's easily located, or an audio or whatever. But the support concept really around this is like, recognizing that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay, and I would say find your tribe that are going to support you. Don't go and ask, and I mean, you'd be surprised, don't go and ask somebody who doesn't know, or is it stuck in the old way. If they're on your old path, okay, I'll give you an example. I had one lady, okay, she was struggling with her drinking. It was getting worse and worse. She was hanging out with crowds that would go to raves, to parties, and the pub pretty much like at least 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Okay, easy. Okay, and then the weekends. Okay, party, drinking, lots of fun in her eyes, but was finding that she wasn't happy. It was all very superficial. Always got drunk. Was always landing up having one night stands. Now felt like she was being used and abused. Completely lost herself. Decided she wanted to make the shift. How do you do that? Needed to do AA. Got her out of those shoes of that. But remember, I was saying to you before, if you now go, right, I'm not drinking, and you now decide to go and hang out with that crowd, what are the chances of you staying in your non-drinking shoes? Slim to zero. Absolutely slim to zero, right? Okay. Oh, no, I might just do 1 or 2. I'm telling you now, it's not like that, especially if you have a propensity for drinking. If you've got the drinking gene, which is one thing, it's a chemical thing. Once you have one drink, you're going to have another. It's the chemical imbalance takes over. Then before you know it, you're probably smoking and drinking and maybe doing something else, and then you're with somebody that you don't know for the night, and it just all goes pear-shaped. Okay, so that's one of the things with AA. They talk about total abstinence. You've got to step away from it completely. But one of my big trainings that I have is that if you do not fill the vacuum and swap out the group with something that is supportive, you've now got to walk with a crowd that don't drink, or are recovered, or recovering. They don't say recovered, do they? Recovering, because there's a potential of relapsing. If you're not walking on this path with guys that have been there, done that, and given up, or with a crowd that just don't drink anyway, but they find fun in other ways, you tell me, which path are you more likely to succeed in? The supportive, the the crowd that's going hard still drinking, and they're going to probably pressurize you into taking a drink or having a drink when you don't want to? Or are you more likely to have more success with the crowd that have are ex-drinkers, so maybe AA members in this case, where they're recovering, or they get it because they realize how hard it was to step out of those shoes into these shoes. So a lot of people choose that crowd because they understand. Non-drinkers and non-druggies and whatever tend to sometimes, dare I say it, be a little non-sympathetic. They can't understand it. They just go, just don't drink, mate. What's the problem? If it's a chemical imbalance, sometimes it's actually not that easy, and sometimes they don't get it. They just don't get it. But you may be fortunate in that there might be a crowd of non-drinkers who go, I don't really care, I can sympathize. Maybe they're, the twos, the empathetic kind of numbers of the Enneagram, where they go, gee, that's tough. I'm so grateful that's not me. How can I support you? So you want to pick the shoes that are walking with you on your path. So that is what the whole purpose of my Facebook Super Soul Sisters group is all about. The shoe psychology is like, who's the crowd that's walking with you on the new path that you've chosen? Are you going to walk this way? Or are you going to walk this way? So you've actually got two paths here. You can have one, or it might be that it's a combo of the two, and it's like, well, I'll hang more with the recovering than I will with the non-drinking. Or it might be that, do you know what, I'm just going to go straight to the non-drinking guys and start doing things that are empowering me, not disempowering me. Drinking, I feel crap, my health is taking a hit. Maybe now I'm hanging out with a bunch of gym people. I don't know, I'm just plucking things out of the sky. It could be anything. It could be that I start doing art classes. It could be start doing that I'm writing poetry or acting, or it can be anything, where it's going to actually be supportive and that's actually interests you. So sometimes, and this is what this is all about, you've got to kind of work that out, and you're not too sure what the replacement's going to be. And when you're saying no, I'm not drinking anymore, no, I'm not going to overeat anymore, no, I'm not going to do drugs anymore, no, I'm not going to do one night stands anymore, or not eat healthy. You might be eating less, but it's still not healthy, right? There might not be an overeating, it might be undereating, whatever the no is. Maybe it's that you're in that toxic relationship and you're going, no, I'm not going to be a codependent anymore. Or maybe I am the toxic person, I know I'm not going to behave like that anymore, and I'm going to make things right. Whatever the no is, you've got to find the support group that's going to help you. Now, it may not be my thing, like, my group. I mean, I don't really care where you get the support group from. If it's deep-seated stuff, you are going to need to go to AA or NA or Overeaters, or a sex counseling, whatever it is. If it's a deep-seated issue, you're going to need to get the support, and it's not a sign of weakness. This is one of the things I want you to get. It's that we've had trauma, we've had attachment traumas, we've had we're in such a state of overwhelm like we've never ever been before. Like the amount of stress that we take now, where it's like, we've had a pandemic, people losing jobs, financial pressures, having kids, not being able to afford to have kids, trying to make ends meet, or, got kids, got money, but they're over demanding, or whatever it is. We have got so much going on, and especially women, we're in this, I've got to be super mum, I've got to be super wife, I've got to be, I've got to have my own career. In the old days, it was that the wife, used to stay at home with the kids. There's a lot of ladies where that doesn't happen. Then I've got ladies where they are at home and they're feeling guilty because they really feel like they should be contributing. There's so much. Now you've got social media. Now you've got all the stresses of, and you're supposed to look beautiful while you're doing it, and nothing's ever supposed to be wrong. Everything's picture perfect all the time. bollocks, excuse my language. It's absolute BS. And it's okay to say, bloody hell, this is not easy. Anybody else having the same experience? I mean, hands up, I have it too. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm no exception. I just happen to have all the tools that help me cope with it better, which is why I'm sharing it with you. And this is the whole point of the group. It's like, you can go there. Maybe there's somebody else having the same experience as you, and you're going, do you know what? Hey, would you be up for having a cup of coffee? I'm in the same, vicinity as you, town, country, whatever. Or maybe it's like, do you know what? Even if you're not, I'd be up for having a Zoom with you, and maybe we can connect on a different level there. And it's just like, oh, thank God I'm not alone. I'm not the only one experiencing this. And just that in itself is a huge reprieve, where you're just like, oh my God, I thought it was just me. I thought I was just going mad. And it's like, everybody else seems to be like, they're coping so well. And, it's all cushy. And, she's always looked so perfect. And, here I am and everything's spanky. And, the babies have thrown up on me. And, the husband's like not paying enough attention because he's overworked. And I'm having to stay at home and I should be working. Or I am working and I'm trying to do it while the baby's sleeping or while the kids are at school. But then I've got to do it all. And, when you realize you're not the only one going through this, you go, oh, thank God. And how can I just share with that other person? And sometimes, they don't have the right answers, and I wouldn't even say try and get counseling or coaching from them, like just let people just talk. Just knowing that someone's even there. Don't start correcting them. Don't start judging them. Just try and be with them. Just support them. Accept them for who they are. Warts and all. Just getting real. Just having real conversations, real engagement, and and one day, even if you are the one who's giving, sometimes you get, not sometimes, you always get, I feel better now that I was actually there for someone else. You might have gone into a situation where you're expecting it. I needed to have someone to lean on, and it landed up the other way around. You've just paid it forward. You just, it will come back to you positively 100-fold. So, but also make sure that you are getting what you need as well in relationships. As I've mentioned to you before, it's give and take. Please make sure that you're giving as much as you're taking in the group particularly. But just get amongst a group of ladies who are wearing similar shoes to you, or the same shoes as you. And this is what I would love to have that whole group scenario about, is like, hey, I recognize those kind of shoes. I'm like that too, and oh my goodness, at least I don't feel alone, and I'm so glad I got to meet you, and you're just amazing. I mean, it was just like, oh, thank God I just got that off my chest, and had a pretty bad day. No judgment, no criticism. And it's like, hey sister, hear you, been there, done that. This is what worked for me, may work for you, don't know. And pick up some tools. They might remember stuff that I've actually said and go, oh, you know what, you might listen to that video again. Or if you haven't listened to it, maybe go and watch or listen to that while you're doing your exercise and your chores. So you know what time it is, ladies. It's time for you to get in your shoes, walking on your own path, ideally with a group of people walking on the same path as you, going in the same direction or similar at least, where at the end of the day you go, damn it, I had the ride of my life, and this is actually where I wanted to land up. I don't want you looking back going, how the frick did I land up here? And I'm miserable and I wish I had done X, Y, and Z. I really don't want that for any of us. And this is the time that we get to change that. You here today, you take a step. Please get somebody to come on board. Share this. Get talking in the Facebook, please. This is what it's about, is like that connection. We need the support. We need to take that step forward. It's your time, your shoes, your path, your way. Let's do it. Namaste.